Welcome back to HISD Unscripted. My name is Esquivel, and I am the Director of Media and Communications for Hereford ISD. And today I have with me
Chad Jones,
David Faltys,
Robb Sidebottom.
Awesome. So let's just get into it, and y'all just tell me about who you are, what y'all do, and what y'all's companies are.
I'll start. I'm Robb Sidebottom. I'm a Director of Business Development for Gallagher Construction. We build public schools, K through 12, pre-K 12, all through the state of Texas. Dr. Jones and I, as you'll hear from him, our specialty is helping engage the community and bring ideas together from the district and the citizens.
Awesome.
Great. And my name is David Faltys, and I'm with Government Capital Securities. I'm a retired school superintendent, was in education for 33 years, was a superintendent for 18 years, and retired, and now work with Government Capital Securities. I hold a securities license, so I'm able to work with school districts on setting tax rates, looking at their funding sources or resources, helping them with bonds, tax rate elections, that sort of stuff. So we're just here to help and advise the district where we can.
That's great.
All right, I'm Chad Jones. I am a retired educator, retired superintendent. I spent 14 years as a superintendent, 33 as an educator. I'm now a consultant with Gallagher Construction. My first year as a superintendent was 2010. Hired a young man by the name of Dr. Ralph Carter to be my high school principal. So
I'm sorry.
Glad to have him here. Yes, ma'am.
We all are.
Don't blame me. But anyway, we're happy to be here in Hereford.
That's great. Well, we're happy you're here. And so to those listening or those watching, you can see we have a lot of great minds at this table with a lot of things in common that kind of surround an upcoming popular topic that we've been, talking about a lot on this podcast recently. So let's talk about what y'all are bringing to the table as terms of our upcoming VATRE election.
But, Government Capital Securities, part of our role is to analyze the financial situation of the school district to help them determine what the value of the VATRE would be to the school district, determine what each penny is worth, as far as revenue, not only from local, but from the state. The state will contribute quite a bit to Hereford ISD, so it's a great opportunity for school district to pick up a little extra money from the state. And then we're here to help educate and communicate with the community or anybody that would listen, just to talk to them kind of about how school finance works, how it has worked and how it doesn't work today, and what schools can do and school boards and communities can do to help themselves to benefit their school districts, their teachers, and their kiddos.
As a superintendent just 1 year ago, I know the effects of tax compression on the M&O side for districts. And all salaries come from M&O. And because they've compressed that, it makes it harder for us to take care of our teachers and staff. And so a VATRE gives you an opportunity to go out and ask the community to raise that rate so that you can then take care of staff and student programming that are paid for through the M&O fund.
Yes, I think that's been a big topic here lately, especially with the raises that the state just gave the teachers. But, what about all of our other staff? So
Right.
We've kind of discussed the VATRE and how that would help, just make everything up to the same level.
Absolutely. And it's critical that they gave teachers raises. I mean, that's incredible. Those are kind of our first line of defense. But as there's a lot of other people in the school district that make the district run, from your bus drivers to your cafeteria workers, to your maintenance workers, to aides, to instructional staff, to people over here in this building. And there just wasn't the money that was allocated for that. And even with the teacher raises, with the TRS contributions and other things, there's still a cost to the district that's not covered by the state. And so, as Dr. Jones said, as we've been compressed, your M&O budget doesn't go as far as it used to do. And so the way that the state has allowed us to pick up additional funds to take care of the rest of our staff and to cover some of those additional costs is through the VATRE. And that's why we're here to talk about that.
Yes.
Well, and while everybody at this table is well versed in not just the teachers, right, and everybody, and how compression has happened over the years, your taxpayers in the community are largely ignorant. And that's not an insult. They don't work in education on a day-to-day basis. All they hear is, there might be an election to raise our taxes. Why? And it's our job, our role with Gallagher and working with Government Capital, it's our role to engage the community and make sure, hopefully, that every citizen is well educated and they understand it as well as you do.
So I'll be honest, we went out for a VATRE a couple years ago and it failed due to that particular reason right there. There was not enough people in our community that knew what the VATRE was. They just saw there's a tax rate increase on their ballot and they're like, no, we don't want to do that. So I think, bringing y'all in and then these podcasts and just everything that we've been doing here lately, we're hoping that we'll be able to inform our community a little better this go around and hopefully have a different outcome this time.
Absolutely. And I would say Dr. Carter's put together a great team, if I may. Robb has worked with school districts all over the state, not only in his current role, but even in prior roles on helping them with investments and other things that they've done. Dr. Jones and I, both having sat in the seat that Dr. Carter's in now, understand how the finances are working and how districts are pinched. And our primary purpose is to help get the word out. It's complicated. It's difficult.
It's also, it's huge to get it out to the community, but a VATRE, the staff has to be knowledgeable of how it's going to directly affect their lives. And that's the thing. If you can get the staff behind this and have them understand how it's going to affect their ability to get raises. And I retired from Decatur ISD as superintendent, and every Christmas we gave a longevity bonus. I don't know if you can legally call it a bonus anymore, but it was a longevity check that we went around and gave. Those had to be cut because of compression. So a VATRE gives you the opportunity to go out and continue things like that, because if compression keeps happening, eventually, even if you're still doing it now, eventually you're not going to be able to.
Okay, so as of this recording, tonight we are having a political action committee informational that'll kind of bring in our community to learn a little bit more about what's going on with the VATRE, and hopefully this committee will help us in the future too if we call a bond, down the road. So can y'all kind of talk about, let's talk about Gallagher for a minute and just what you bring to the table, what this process looks like, and why y'all are here today.
Sure. Gallagher's been around since 1968. It was started by Jerry Gallagher down in the DFW area. Since we've worked with literally hundreds of schools, thousands of projects, predominantly focused on public education. We know what needs to go in the school buildings. Why we're here tonight is because school buildings are typically funded by a bond. You said the bond word earlier. We are not here for a bond today. However, working with Dr. Carter at a previous district, we helped him engage the community and get all the facts and information out about that bond. And when he said, we have a VATRE opportunity, can you come to Hereford and help me educate my community, help engage the community on what this really means to the district, to the community as a whole, then we were all in.
And the great thing about Gallagher, and I worked with them a few years ago too, as a superintendent. The great thing is they come in and do all this stuff at no charge to the district.
I know that's going to be a big question, as we go forward, is how much is this costing us?
And so all the pre-VATRE stuff, all the educating that we're going to do, all these meetings, we're here as a service to the district. Gallagher really gives out the public education and serves public education. And one of the main roles Gallagher plays is once a bond is called or a VATRE is called, right? So after August 18th, when the VATRE is called, the district can't advocate. However, you have a political action committee that can advocate, and Gallagher kind of coordinates those two and is talking to both so that we can make sure that the right message is being out. We're making sure that the district is not advocating, but that the PAC is, and that it's organized and that it's going forth and it's touching every facet of Hereford as a community and of Hereford ISD.
Definitely. Well, I already know just from the little bit that we've been doing that there is just so much that we can and can't do whenever it comes to actually calling this election. So we're happy that y'all are here and know the ins and outs about this whole process.
Well, and so we're clear. Gallagher doesn't charge for this service, as Dr. Jones said. The reason for that is public education has fed the Gallagher family very well over the years. Some companies, when they're trying to market their services to schools, might take folks hunting or spend a lot of money in ways that might have nothing to do with the actual goal at hand. Gallagher's very conscious about that, and their way of giving back is helping communities figure out if they want to raise their tax rate, and if so, for what. And we're very good at that. We're very passionate about public education and supporting schools, and that's the reason Gallagher wants to do this service for communities for free.
Well, we definitely appreciate y'all's input and appreciate that y'all are here, especially tonight as we kind of begin this process with our political action committee and, just moving forward. Okay, so let's talk about you now.
Sure.
Tell us all about your business.
And similar to Gallagher, Government Capital has been in business for 33 years. We've done over 10,000 transactions with schools around the state and actually around the country. Like in Arkansas, we finance some equipment for schools. We work with community and rural schools predominantly. We don't go into the big cities and do that. We work with rural and community schools to make sure that their communities understand one of the most important things in this town is the school district. And so part of what we do is to help analyze, obviously, the financial side of things, what the impact will be, what the tax impact will be on individual homeowners and business owners. And if there are questions about that, we're here to answer that. Government capital, we don't charge for this service as well. Working with the district and the VATRE, obviously we respect Dr. Carter and the district so much. We worked with the district now for a couple of years in some other areas. And so we're honored to be here, but our primary goal is to just get the word out and get that information out. On my side with government capital securities, the only time we ever get paid is if there's a bond sold, and there's no bond in this process right now. So we don't even have a fee structure for this. We're just here to help.
Definitely. Well, again, we appreciate all of y'all. So going back into the VATRE and how this is going to affect our district, can you kind of give us some numbers about how much the VATRE is going to cost our community?
Sure. The district has the opportunity to take anywhere from 1 to 12 pennies, if you will. That's what's available. If they took the full 12 pennies for the average homestead in town, that's about $2.50 a month or $30 a year. Now, the other thing the district has talked to us about, and we worked with the district, is to make sure that their total tax rate may never go up, because as the state compresses, the district can pick up a penny here and there to keep that tax rate flat. But with that additional exemption, the tax check that people are going to write is more than likely going to be lower this next year than it was this year, because they're going to be exempting more of their property.
I know that's what people want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say I think the district has a great plan in place for addressing this, to be able to take care of staffing needs, to get additional dollars for the operations of the district. And I think they have a good plan in place for that. The other thing that we will mention that we need to bring up is that if you're over 65 and you're a homestead owner, your taxes are capped. In the past, they were frozen. So that at your tax rate, whenever you turn 65, that was the tax you paid for schools was the tax you'd pay forever. But now that compression is a real thing, and we've seen tax rates go from $1.04 to 61 cents. Now, how that works for over 65 is as that M&O rate is compressed, their taxes can actually go down. My 86-year-old mother in Central Texas, her school tax went to zero because of how that cap works as things get compressed.
That is great information. I'm sure a lot of our community out there is thankful for the clarification.
And let me add also the over 65, as I mentioned, they're capped, but their exemption is going to go from $110,000 to $210,000. The goal of the governor and lieutenant governor of the legislature is to make it so that 90% of over 65 citizens in Texas, that they're completely exempt from school taxes, and that $210,000, we think will pretty much do that. So that's an additional exemption that you're over 65 will see. And because they're capped, then what they're paying will actually go down as their exemption increases.
Okay, so we are in Hereford, so there is a lot of ag, around our community. Can you talk about how this will affect our ag community?
Sure. Well, if you have an ag exemption, and there are typically the county appraisal districts will kind of tell us what the top 4 or 5 ag exemptions are, from dry cropland to improved cropland to irrigated pasture. We can run those numbers on what the impact will be. They're going to be pretty minimal on an ag exempt property, but we've got those numbers that we can share. Working with Gallagher, we can create a calculator that could go on the district's website or on a VATRE website, where when you get your tax bill, I can put in what my taxable values are, and depending on the pennies the district chooses, they'll see to the dime what they'll be paying in additional taxes, or if their taxes are going down because they're over 65. Also, there are some additional exemptions put in place for businesses and business owners. There's a circuit breaker rule that came into place at the last legislative session, and they've added some things with personal property and other things. I think it's up to $250,000 on personal property. So if you own a business and you have equipment in that business, that they've increased the amount that you can exempt for that personal property, which helps our business owners as well.
Perfect. And yes, I think it's in one of my notes somewhere that we want to get on that calculator on our website, because we've seen it on several other places that have successfully passed the VATRE, and I think that'll help our community kind of get a good insight of what's coming down the road for them.
And I said it before, it's complicated. People misconstrue how much of their taxes are for the schools and for the counties. And so it's good for them to be able to go in and plug in that number and see exactly what their impact will be. It's hard to argue with the facts.
Well, thank you all for joining us here today. We're excited for the Political Action Committee informational that's coming up here in not too long from now. So we will be talking with y'all soon. And, I bet our community is loving this information that y'all are giving, probably loving that they're hearing it from someone else besides me and Dr. Carter. And so we just appreciate y'all coming today and just for the help that y'all will be giving us as we go forward with this process.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, don't forget that y'all can listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts or watch us on Facebook and YouTube. And we will catch you next week with a brand new podcast.